It's never a bad idea to come into a hand with sort of a preset group of rules, if you will. You don't have to always stick with them exactly, because in poker a lot of things change rather quickly based on the flop, based on tells you pick up and things like that. But there are definitely certain situations where you have a marginal hand and you might just make a decision, well, if I flop this, I'm going to bet it, or I'm just never going to bluff at it. Okay, so in the following clip, we're going to see Josh from the small blind with a marginal hand think about a few things, but you'll see what he ultimately does. We've got a limp from Rodney. Me with the ace-9, no thank you. So now we got Paul with garbage. He's going to limp position. And now Kirk on the button, any 2. Now Josh here.
Don't really have a great hand, but I'm priced in. Not really looking to make any plays on this hand unless I really hit something.
Okay, let's stop it right there and hear what Josh had to say. That it actually made a lot of sense. First of all, yes, he's right. It was only another $1 for him to call. You got a whole bunch of players in the pot. And he was also very smart in thinking the following. He wasn't really planning on making a lot of plays at this pot. There's a lot of players in the pot. It's much more difficult to bluff in a multi-way pot. Aside from the fact that he doesn't really have much of a hand. At the same time, he said, he's not really going to play a big pot unless he flops something good. And this is not a horrible train of thought going into a hand. That way you're not surprised by a board. You already have sort of a game plan. And, when you watch chess masters play, they're thinking 7, 8, 9, who knows, 10 moves ahead of time. When you play poker, you can do the same thing, whether it's before the flop, on the flop. And Josh right here has decided, you know what? I'm not going nuts with this hand. Maybe other times you might say, you know what? If the flop comes such and such, I'm going to bluff at it, or whatever the case may be. But in this case, he's already kind of like preparing himself for the flop and leaning one way versus the other. Again, you have to understand one thing. It's you got to lean one way or the other. You don't just say like, oh, well, I said I wasn't going to make a move. If a move seems right, you still have to be able to be versatile and make an adjustment. Let's go ahead and see the flop. Okay, bunch of people in the pot, and Josh has flopped middle pair with 6s.
I did hit middle pair. I could make a bet, see if anybody would raise with an ace.
Well, I'm glad you checked, Josh, because realistically, these aren't the kind of situations where you want to veer from your strategy. Coming in, you had the thought process of, I'm not really going to get crazy. This is not exactly a good board for your hand. There's too many players stacked behind you. It's one of the reasons why playing the small blind is really so difficult, because anytime you're in the small blind, you always go first. So realistically, $12 in the pot, he's better off just checking. Maybe if everyone folds to the button, he might reevaluate and think, well, this guy's stealing, I don't think he has the ace, or something along those lines. But in the position that he's in, he really can't afford to just get out there and fire at the pot with so many limpers in there already.